Have you ever stared at a task until it felt like it was staring back? The timer counts down, the light outside fades, your phone glows like a small warm lie, and you promise yourself you'll begin in 5 minutes, then an hour, then tomorrow, and the next day carries the same heavy promise. I'll start when I finally feel ready. What if that feeling never comes? And what if your problem isn't laziness at all, but something deeper, more human, and more meaningful than you think? Viktor Frankl would say, procrastination is not a moral failure, it's a signal. It's the smoke that tells us there's a quiet fire burning underneath an inner conflict, between the life that calls to you and the fear that answers back. Frankl lived through a darkness most of us can barely imagine, and his answer to suffering wasn't to crush it, deny it, or distract from it. He looked for meaning in it. He taught that when we can't find a reason to move, our spirit stalls, and when we give our spirit a reason, the body follows. So let's explore procrastination the way Frankl would, not as a productivity glitch, but as a question of meaning. Why do you hesitate at the doorway of your own life? Why does the first step feel heavier than the rest? And how do we step anyway? Start here. Procrastination is often a mask for fear. But not just fear of failure. Sometimes it's fear of meaning. If this work matters, if it reflects your values, if it shows who you are, then it can expose you. So your mind offers the safer path. Waiting feels protective, but protection, extended too long, becomes a prison. Frankl wrote about the existential vacuum, that restless, aching emptiness that modern life often breeds. When you're not sure what your life is for, every task can feel pointless, and pointless things are easy to put off. The cure is not more pressure, it's more meaning. Meaning, according to Frankl, is discovered in 3 main ways: by creating a work or doing a deed, by experiencing something or encountering someone, love, beauty, excellence, and by the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. Those are your doors. When you put your hand on the task you're avoiding, ask, which door does this open? Maybe it's creation, maybe it's connection, maybe it's courage, but it's never nothing. Even a small task can be a quiet act of meaning when you choose it on purpose. There's a line from Frankl that changes the way you face the moment you want to delay. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is your power to choose your response. And in your response lies your growth and your freedom. Procrastination tries to erase that space. It tries to collapse the choice into a reflex. Your job is to reopen it. How? Let's start with 2 of Frankl's favorite tools: paradoxical intention and dereflection. Paradoxical intention sounds like a trick, but it's a compassionate one. When you're paralyzed by pressure, I must do this perfectly, right now, you tell yourself the opposite, gently. Fine, I'll try to procrastinate for 60 seconds. Set a timer. In those 60 seconds, try to not begin. Smile at the absurdity. Most people feel the tightness loosen. A tiny laugh breaks the tyranny of the task, and in the lightness, the first move becomes possible. You stand, you open the file, you write the first sentence. Perfection loses its grip because you turn toward it with humor, not war. Dereflection is a sister strategy. When we stare at ourselves too hard, our anxiety swells. We hyper-focus on our tension, our performance, our image. Dereflection means you turn your attention outward toward the meaning beyond you. Ask, who needs me on the other side of this? Whose life eases when I complete this? Put a real name there. A colleague, a client, a partner, a future self who sleeps easier. The task becomes a gift carried to a door, not a test you must pass. So picture this. You're at your desk. The weight is back. You begin with 60 seconds of paradoxical intention. I'll try to delay, a smile. Then you dereflect. This email reduces someone's worry. And you take one small, visible action. Write the subject line. In Frankl's language, you've found the space. You've chosen a response. You've taken a step that points to meaning. Now let's talk about fear of the future, because it hides inside procrastination like a dormant storm. Frankl would ask you to live as if you were living already for the second time and had acted the first time as wrongly as you were about to act now. That is a strange sentence until you try it. Imagine it's the second run of your life. You already know that delaying cost you peace, trust, progress. What would you do differently today? The answer appears like a lighthouse. Begin earlier, begin smaller, begin for someone. Bring that second chance clarity into this first chance. Then act. You might protest, but I don't feel motivated. Frankl would nod. Feelings are real, he'd say, but they aren't rulers. Meaning is a better compass than mood. We don't wait for meaning to move us. We move toward meaning, and the feeling follows like a tired child who catches up after you start walking. Let's build a small ritual he'd love. Call it a minute of meaning. When you first sit down, before you touch the work, ask 3 quick questions. What value does this serve? Who benefits? What attitude will I choose? Write your answers in a line or 2. Then commit to 90 seconds of action. Not 90 minutes, 90 seconds. Start a timer and move. Often the first 90 seconds break the ice. Action warms the water that motivation swims in, and if you stop, add another minute. Meaning in drops, collects into a current. Here's another enemy of action, perfection. Frankl would tell you to aim not at perfection, but at responsibility. Your life asks something of you, a signature, not flawless faithful. Replace "I must do this perfectly" with "I owe a decent attempt in service of what matters." Perfection is a mirror that keeps you looking at yourself. Responsibility is a window that looks out to the world you can help. Take your calendar. Instead of blocks named work on project, try keep a promise to someone by 2 p.m. Name the someone. That's dereflection in ink. You'll feel your shoulders adjust because promises pull us harder than vague plans. Let's address the strongest gravity well in modern procrastination, your phone. It is a vending machine for micro-menning tiny bursts of novelty, recognition, relief. Frankl wouldn't demonize it. He'd ask, what value is it serving? Experience values are real. Beauty, laughter, learning. But when a tool crowds out your higher meanings, it begins to hollow you. So schedule your experience values. Don't graze them. 10 minutes of music after a 20-minute push. A message to a friend after you ship a paragraph. Declare rewards with a smile. Your brain will learn a new association. Effort first, then sweetness. Not as punishment, as order. There's a weekend version of procrastination Frankl predicted, the Sunday neurosis. When structure falls away, the vacuum swells. You feel restless, aimless, annoyed at yourself for not resting right. Solve it simply. Give Sunday a small, chosen meaning. Write a note to one person you love. Take a walk to notice 3 beautiful things. Read 4 pages that enrich your mind. Tiny, but intentional. Rest, in Frankl's view, is richer when it restores you to your purpose, not when it blurs you away from it. Now, suffering. Not all tasks are neutral. Some are linked to loss, fear, or shame. When procrastination protects you from pain, the answer is not force, it's a new attitude. Frankl's third door of meaning is the stance we take toward unavoidable suffering. If the conversation you avoid scares you because it risks rejection, you can still choose the meaning: honesty over pretense, respect over silence. If paying a debt humbles you, the meaning is dignity and repair. If studying reminds you of past failures, the meaning is courage. We can't always pick our load, but we can pick how we carry it. And the way you carry it becomes a message to yourself about who you are. Let's make this intensely practical. Create a meaning ledger for the next 7 days. Each morning, name one act of creation, one act of experience, and one act of attitude. Creation might be 30 minutes on a project. Experience might be noticing the sky at lunch. Attitude might be how you respond to a critique. Keep them small, specific, human. Then each evening, check one box beside each. You're not scoring yourself. You're guiding yourself. The ledger becomes a bridge over the fog. If you freeze at the threshold, go back to your tools. Paradoxical intention for 60 seconds. Dereflection to a person you can help. The 90-second action burst. And the second chance question to reset your perspective. These are not hacks. They are choices that call your spirit forward. Here's a scene from Frankl's world you might carry with you. Prisoners in the camp who gave away a crust of bread to someone weaker. They were starving. They did it anyway. Why? Because even there, they could choose a meaning. To remain human. To love when love seemed impossible. That choice didn't erase suffering. It transfigured it. You and I are not in that world. But the principle scales down into the quiet battle at your desk. You can suffer pointlessly, wrestling your own shadow as hours pass. Or you can suffer purposefully for a few minutes' face. The discomfort of starting in order to serve a value that outlives the moment. One is draining. The other is dignity. Let's talk about identity. Procrastination often whispers, "You're the kind of person who never follows through." Frankl would answer, "You are not your behavior. You are your capacity to decide." Identity is not a static label. It's a direction. The very act of beginning, even briefly, is you contradicting the lie. So stack contradictions. Start badly. Start briefly. Start with company. Start in public. Start for love. Start not because you're certain, but because you're responsible. If you need a doorway ritual that feels physical, try this. When you sit, say out loud, for name, "I begin." Then place your phone face down across the room, not as an exile, but as an offering you'll retrieve. Light a small candle if you can. Give your brain a sign. This is not punishment. This is a ceremony, and it lasts 14 minutes, a number short enough to feel merciful. At the end, you may stop, but you'll often choose to continue, warmed by the momentum. You might ask, what about the tasks that genuinely don't matter? Frankl doesn't want you to polish meaning onto everything. If a task is pointless, either connect it to a value or let it go. Connect it by linking it to a person, a promise, or a principle. Or release it by saying, "This drains my life for no real reason." The courage to drop the trivial is as important as the courage to start the essential. And what if you've delayed so long that the consequences have begun to bite? Shame will try to take the wheel. Frankl would replace shame with responsibility. Shame says, "I am the mistake." Responsibility says, "I made a mistake, and I can answer it." Choose a confession if one is needed. Then make a repair plan with tiny steps and a name attached to each. Invite someone into your plan. Meaning grows in the light. Halfway through this, pause and breathe. Notice something. Your urge to delay rises and falls like a wave. It's intense, then it ebbs. Between the wave and your action, there is space. You are learning to stand there. Quick pause. I want to hear from you. What is the one moment in your day where delay traps you the most? And which small ritual from today will you try first? Share it below so someone else can borrow your idea. And if this helped, tap like and subscribe so we can keep building these tiny, sturdy steps together. All right, let's go a layer deeper, because meaning isn't just personal, it's relational. Love, Frankl believed, sees the best in us before we earn it and calls it out. If you can't start, borrow someone else's eyes. Ask a trusted friend to name one strength they see in you tied to this task. You're good at clarity. You care enough to polish. You keep promises quietly. Write their words on a card where you work. When your inner critic wakes, answer it with a line from a voice that loves you. That, too, is dereflection turning outward to be restored. Consider also the environment that holds you. If your desk is a museum of half-started lives, simplify it. Keep in sight one symbol of your values. A photograph, a sentence from a mentor, a memento of someone you don't want to let down. You're not staging productivity theater. You're creating a space where your choices feel aligned with who you are becoming. Let's face the undertow of anxiety. Sometimes we don't start because the task threatens our fragile sense of worth. If I begin, the world will see I'm ordinary. Frankl's answer is blunt and kind. Your worth is not on trial. Your task is not a courtroom. You are here to answer the question life asks of you today, not the one a crowd might ask. So when the fear says, "What will they think?" reply with a question Frankl would ask, "What is life asking of me right now?" Then do that quietly. Build a practice called the 2 doors. Door 1, relief now, regret later. Door 2, discomfort now, relief later. When you feel the tug to scroll, look at the doors and name them out loud. The simple act of naming clarifies the path. It doesn't force you. It frees you to choose the future you want to carry. If you frequently stall at transitions, place small bridges across them. Ending lunch. Walk back, holding your notebook open to the next sentence you'll write. Finishing a meeting. Type a 1-line brief for your next move before you close the tab. The brain loves closing loops. Give it a loop so small it can't say no. There is a special kind of procrastination that hides in overplanning. You've probably felt it. You build a perfect system, a color-coded schedule, a promise to your future self. Tomorrow, the real work begins. Tomorrow is a lovely word. Frankl would ask you to trade it for today, for 10 minutes. Design is noble. Doing is meaning. You cannot steer a car that isn't moving. And what about joy? This might surprise you, but joy can be a form of meaning, not a distraction from it. Experience values the beauty you notice. The laughter you share make you more alive to your purpose. Use joy wisely. Schedule it like a friend you love. A song after you finish a paragraph. A walk when you send the file. Not as a bribe, not as an escape. As a rhythm, the soul works best when it breathes. You may still ask, what if I fail anyway? Frankl would say, yes, that's possible. But failure is not poison when you know why you tried. Failure without meaning is emptiness. Failure in service of meaning becomes instruction. So capture it. After a stumble, write a 3-line note. What did I attempt? What did I learn? What will I try next? Then begin again. The courage to restart is the spine of a meaningful life. Let's bring this to a closing practice you can repeat tonight. Before bed, take 3 minutes. Name one promise you kept today. Name one moment you chose door 2. Name one small act of meaning you will begin tomorrow for a person you'll write down. Put the note where you'll see it in the morning. When you wake, you won't have to wonder what matters. You'll be called by a name, a value, a direction. There's a story I like to imagine: a dark room, a single candle. The darkness does not disappear when the candle is lit, but the space changes. You can see your hand. You can see the next step. Procrastination is a darkness of uncertainty and fear. Meaning is the candle, sometimes tiny, sometimes flickering, but always capable of changing what you can see. So when you feel that familiar pull to delay, pause, make the space, ask the questions, use the tools: paradoxical intention, dereflection, the minute of meaning, the second chance lens. Choose one act that serves a value and begin. Not because your mood is sweet, because your life is asking and you are answering. Frankl believed life is never merely asking, "Are you happy?" It is asking, "Are you responsible to what matters?" When you answer that question, even quietly, the delayed minutes begin to return to you. The day opens, your shoulders lower, the work becomes more than a task. It becomes an offering. And here's the most hopeful part: you don't need to conquer procrastination. You just need to interrupt it, again and again, with meaning. Interrupt it for 90 seconds. Interrupt it with a name. Interrupt it with a promise. Then let those interruptions stitch into a pattern. That pattern becomes your character, and your character carries you when motivation fades. Tonight, pick one task, write one name, light one candle, then give the first 90 seconds. The rest will meet you there. As you close this video, don't rush away from the quiet you've made. Sit with it for a breath or two. Decide the next small action that brings you closer to the life that is calling, and then gently begin.